allowed not only the parties to appoint candidates, but also that Kenyans have the freedom to choose from independent candidates. To my extreme left is Pete Odeng, who was a candidate and spoke to you a little earlier in the week. My immediate left, MUTHIORA Kariara is a candidate. And to my right, we have candidate David Munga. With your permission, after a few introductory remarks, I will ask each one of them to say something to you. In my particular case, I do not have to repeat what I told you the other day when I was launching my campaign. But very briefly, you recall, I said that I was keen, that I was confident of becoming the first president in Kenya who will be independent, free from the baggage of political parties' structures. I also mentioned to you that there's a new wave in the world that is creating independent president, independent institutions. So the old order, as we've known it before, of very powerful political parties fighting to take power and swapping positions from opposition to government, a few years later, reversing it, and in the case of a third world country, holding back development of a country because of political fights. I told you that was coming to an end. And I gave you one or two examples where this has happened in the Gambia and more recently in France, a major nuclear power. I also, during my launch, told you that NASA, Jubilee are two sides of the same coin, that there's no difference between them. All they want is to swap positions and keep doing what the other one was doing. And that there's need, therefore, of this independent group of people, and there are very many, from MCAs to the level of presidents, people who can pull people from parties to the center for the benefit of our country. And I'm delighted that the High Court today decided that independent candidates will be allowed to recruit supporters from both sides. Since there's no party that is called independent, and since we were being restricted to only being supported by independent Kenyans who are not members of a party, and we had no access to knowing who is member of a party, I want to thank the judgment today for having decided that since we'll be coming to the Kenyans who belong to parties and others who do not belong to parties, that the decision was a wise one, which allows us to come and seek support from all Kenyans. The 19+ million Kenyans will be voting. I also mentioned about inclusivity. When you have a party structure, you recall, I said, each group moves into government with its own group of people. That is no longer acceptable. And a good example, when an Ogiek become a president, We must give all from Boni to Taveta, to Ogiek, to Indians, all Kenyans an opportunity to be in a government. When parties do deals among themselves, they tend to bring into cabinet and senior positions people from their particular areas. So it's important in this new movement called independent that we are able to pull from all directions, because we will not be slaves, we will not be locked into a situation that we must reward a particular group of people. Finally, I spoke about the need for a leadership that has high integrity. That's when I took the opportunity to tell you the reason we are stuck, the reason we have issues of development, funding development, is because many people in senior positions help themselves to public resources. In a small country, when you steal 1 million shillings from the public, it's a lot of money. In a big economy, when you steal 1 million shillings as a public officer, it's petty cash. We have got to a point in Kenya where we no longer steal millions, but we steal billions. And Kenyans, unfortunately, are thanking thieves and rewarding thieves. That culture, in my case, must come to an end. So I wish to, with your authority and your permission, to introduce my colleagues again, and they'll be making their case. All I can tell you, in the last few days since you reported my launch, I've got calls from all over Kenya, from all walks of life. People tell me, go ahead. That's what we are looking for. We need new leadership. It might be woven in old clothes, but new leadership that knows what is required, new leadership that can tackle these problems that sometimes are difficult, but leadership that is prepared to take the hard decisions that we must take. So we've met with many other candidates, not only at the presidential level, but at all other levels, people who believe like us here. And we are continuing to talk to others also. And what is surprising is these independent people are thinking alike. So with your permission, allow me to ask our colleagues to make a few remarks as to why they think we should be one team. Shall we start with your permission? May I start with the youngest? Bwana MUTHIORA, to say what he thinks and why he thinks we should become part of a group as we move forward to serve our people. Thank you. Bwana MUTHIORA, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is MUTHIORA Kariara, and I'm running for president of the Republic of Kenya in the forthcoming general elections. I joined this race because I have seen the pains and the sacrifices that ordinary Kenyans have to make in order to just get by. I joined this race because I have seen the sacrifices that young people who graduate with very good certifications and they go each day as they try to land job opportunities, which are non-existent to date. I've seen the struggles of other Kenyans who try to start businesses to empower themselves economically, but these businesses cannot thrive. They even do not take off in other cases because we do not have a conducive business environment. I've seen the travels of the people in the grassroots. That woman who has a young child that needs medical care, and they walk across our dusty roads trying to access that medical treatment for their children, only to get to these dispensaries and be turned away because they cannot afford the fee that is charged. And yet our government, time and again, keeps telling us about how they have programs that have made healthcare accessible to the people. It's for these people that I joined the race for president. Kenya needs to see a leadership that is in touch with the grassroots, a leadership that responds to the problems that affect the people down at the very lowest level. Now, I'm not alone in this race. I have come across other candidates, some of whom are vying to become MCAs, others as MPs, others as senators, and even governors. And we are all talking the same language, that Kenya is ready for change. Kenya is ready for leaders who are not held by the tentacles of parties. I met my colleagues here and others who are not with us today, but will soon be part of this caucus, I believe, starting tomorrow. And we examined the issues that we would like to address when we form the next government. And there was uniformity. My vision is one of a united, prosperous, self-confident, and a corruption-free nation. Those are the same things that Mheshimiwa Joe Nyaga here is trying to champion. My colleague, Peter Ndeng, had a manifesto that outlined similar things. It was just, the difference was in the wording. Presidential aspirant Mwandende Munga, who's seated on the other side, we've had a few discussions, and we are reading from the same script. So then we decided, why front candidates who basically are speaking the same language? It would be best if we come together, because that will deliver more value. The ruling that Nyaga was talking about, that was made today by the courts, that independent presidential candidates do not need to just be supported by members who do not come from any political party, was achieved because we worked together. So then, there is so much that we can achieve if we unite and fight for Kenya in one voice. Mine today is simple. I'm declaring that I'll be partnering with Nyaga going forward. I support his candidature for president because I believe, given his experience with the previous regimes, he knows what policies are lying in the shelves. He's been out there for a bit of time interacting with ordinary Kenyans. He had actually resigned from public life, but then because of the cries of the people, he decided these ordinary people need proper representation, and he came forth from his retirement. So based on the hindsight he offers, I believe he's best suited to leaders in this journey, and I will officially be making official communication to the IEBC with regard to my intention to not go forth with the contest, but instead join Nyaga in his quest. I'll take questions after my friends and colleagues make their remarks, so feel free when that opportunity comes to ask any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana Muthiora, for your remarks, and thanks for the support. I know you are people that have been supporting you who will be comfortable working with me. I'm counting on them. Since you've explained clearly what you wanted to achieve is achievable if we work together. Let me now invite Bwana David Munga, who is the other candidate, to make a few remarks also.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen,
Swap, one
honored
second.
guests,
Kuja hapa. Kuja hapa katikati.
yes, honored guests, members of the diaspora, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you for having made this day a success. Today is an historic occasion in the history of Kenya's independence, as we are ushering a new age where all mankind have cherished and hoped for in all ages. Day of peace, true love, true happiness, and we can say a Kenya which shall be able to stand in peace. Honored guests, as you watch and listen to this great occasion, to me you are dumb, and before you I'm blind. The dumbness and blindness will be unfolded by this speech I make before you today. God's original plan, blueprint of creation, was to have delight and experience joy over his creation. That was the first man and woman were to live under the guidance and obedience to his command, under their portion or responsibility as individual to inherit God's internal nature of God's heart, to love an object, to have an object, thereby embody his nature as an image of God. They could manifest God's true character, vertically and horizontally, with the true love of God, and one another. Adam and Eve could have established their conjugal love under the guidance of God. True love, true life, true truth, and true love could have been experienced in this world under God. True governance of true love and true dominion of the creation, where man could have been the center of the entire universe. However, the fall came to the existence under the false man, master, and human being lost the image and the glory of God, and a true character to love one another. The fall of human being under the power of a false master brought this corruptible world, corruptible nations, corruptible societies, corruptible families, and corruptible individuals. How can we today solve these problems of the corruptible world, nations, societies, families, and individuals? It is the responsibility of Kenyans to stand up as a country, regardless of tribe, color, racism, and creed, support the voice and bring change in this country. This corruptible world and nation today will be solved by the power of love through the leadership of President David Munga Mwadende, who has this force behind him. We shall remove corruption, ethnicity, tribalism, wars, hunger, HIV, AIDS, drug abuse, and peace for this nation. President Mwadende has the key to open up the solution mentioned above. To bring all about this, there is no freedom without responsibility. There is no freedom without free action, and no free action without free will. Therefore, we shall not bring good governance without the fulfillment of our own portion of responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I pray that you may allow me to govern this nation, that I may save from the languishing problems we have experienced before, and free this country from corruption and its discretion, and form one country as originally intended. Wherefore, we may form ideal families, ideal societies, ideal nation, and towards a global ideal world, as the hope of all of us. To make this a success, our philosophy to our governance is headwind ideology, which will neither be right or left. honored guests, and fellow Kenyans, the country has suffered many setbacks, and our institutions have suffered heavily in problems of corruption and abuse of office. Land which were taken by force from the regional owners, i.e., the Kikuyu, who were scattered all over the country, away from their original lands, which were taken by the leadership of the first African governors. The Pingo lands, which was taken by force by the colonial and later sold to Centum Enterprise Limited irregularly. I want to explain this. Miaka hiyo yote imekuwa, Kenya imekuwa na shida. Na sasa wakati umefika wa kwamba tusichague chama. Sasa ni wakati tuangalie kiongozi ambaye ataweza kuleta hii nchi iwe katika njia moja, na sote wa Kenya wote tukae kama kitu kimoja. Vipingo ni shamba ambalo dakika hii lina historia na ufisadi ambao umekuwa mwingi kutoka Waingereza mpaka sasa. Na dakika hii tumefukuzana, kila tuwafukuza wanakimbia, kila tuwafukuza wanatoroka. Wanatoroka kwa sababu hawakupata cheti kwa haki. Na sisi tumeingia katika njia hizo tukitafuta haki Kenya hii, lakini haijapatikana. Hatutapata haki kwa kiongozi ambaye amekuwa pale na yeye ndiye shareholder wa hayo mambo. Hatutapata haki ikiwa tukiangalia Raila vile anavyosimama. Tunaona ya kwamba hakuna mabadiliko yote. Wakenya sasa ni wakati tujiangalie na tuangalie mwelekeo ambao tunaweza kupata na kuweza kupata ufanisi na kujenga nchi ambayo watoto wetu na wajukuu zetu miaka ijayo watafurahia kwamba kuna watu walitoka na wakajitolea kurekebisha hii nchi. The Wagala massacre, in short, there is no Kenyan tribe which has not suffered in the old regimes. Corruption and debauchery. Raila Odinga will not solve these problems as he belongs to the old regimes and they are great friends economically. So we cannot stop to run away from them. As President Uhuru is struggling to remain in power to safeguard the interests of himself and his masters. Kenya today needs the launching pad to launch the third force, to liberate this country, make Kenya a safe haven where peace, happiness will reign without corruption, free from HIV/AIDS, free from tribalism, and form one family under God. As a fact, this launching pad will be led by the third force, the independent president candidates, who, in the matters of interest, we have seen the interest of the Kenyans and vow to unite and form the third force Kenya and dislodge NASA and Jubilee, who will exhibit the existence of tribalism in this country. I'm hopefully that Kenyans will be flexible in their minds and examine the reality and this truth and support the third force, established without the ethnicity of tribe, but formed with Kenyan spirit to unite the country. Therefore, I, David Munga Madende, presidential candidate of Kenya 2017, having been cleared by the Registrar of Political Parties on the 27th of April 2017, hereby endorse the candidature of President Joseph Nyaga to be the president of the third force presidential candidate, as I have seen that we share common objectives in the governance of this nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Kwa hiyo machache, ninasema kwamba nitaomba maswali baada tukimaliza na tutajibu. Asanteni.
Thank you very much. That was very good. Do you want to swap places with him? Sure. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, let me now invite Bwana Peter Deng. He has spoken a little earlier in the week, but let's hear what he has today.
Thank you,
It's
Joe.
your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to read anything to you. I just want to say a few remarks because I have made my case very clear earlier. About 6 months ago, a young man was talking to me at the end of a talk that I had been invited to give, and he asked me some very genuine questions, which I was stumped to try to answer. The first question he asked me was, he said, "Sir, do you think we're going to have violence in 2017? I looked at him, and if I was honest, as I was, I said, "I don't know." Then he said, "Sir, if the IEBC declares that Raila Odinga has lost, do you think they will accept the loss?" I looked at him and I said, "I don't know." And he asked me the third question. "Sir, if Uhuru Kenyatta is declared the loser in 2017, will they hand over power peacefully?" Again, I said to him, "I don't know." I wanted to give this young man some hope, a sense of assuredness, a sense of confidence